Everyone, I'm so excited that you're here. This video is the first of a series of videos that I'm going to be putting out called Things Parents Ask, and it's around a lot of different things that I'm providing regarding advocacy services for families who this is a common thing that have come up, and I wanted to share with everyone. So again, I want to preface this with I am not a lawyer and I'm not providing legal advice, and I am here just to help guide you through the process and really maybe help you through some things that are you're struggling with when it comes to the school district that your child is in. So really, if you have any additional questions or concerns, especially if you're outside the state of California, as things may be different, I really stress to you to reach out to an educational consultant, a child advocate, or a lawyer within your state or country and ask them more additional questions in regards to the differences of the topic that we're about to talk about. So today we're going to be talking about the differences between an IEP and a 504 plan. And so I really want to just get into this by using a visual as I talk you through it and really give you some additional information regarding both. All right, so as you can see on this document, I've divided it up amongst the IEP and the 504 process and tried to create a visual so it's simple and easy for you to follow. The first thing is that an IEP is a special education document and a 504 is a general education document. And so there are two separate really entities that are playing a role here. As you can see, the IEP is guided by the IDEA, which is special education law, and that is a federal law. And the 504 is also a federal law, but it's guided by Section 504 of the Civil Rights Act. And so that's really the main differences in the laws that are guiding these two documents. Now, as you can see, I have two visuals here that really break down the differences. And I'm going to start with the 504 because it's much simpler. So in both cases, you have to have some sort of assessments. Now, these assessments are probably going to look pretty different depending on if you're getting an IEP or a 504. But they both will drive what the next step is in the series. And so as you can see in the 504, the assessments are driving what's called accommodations. And those are accommodations that are allowing a child to be successful in a general education setting. They don't need any services or anything else. They just need simple accommodations. So maybe it's that they need some extra time on assignments or tests. They might need things broken down or in smaller chunks. It could also be that they are needing speak to text or text to speech in order to access their curriculum. So those are some of the accommodations, like a very broad overview of them. But those are some of the things that are really included in a 504 plan. Now, in an IEP, there are also accommodations, but we'll get to that in just a second. So like I said, that there are assessments, and we could go into each one of these little bullets that are underneath or in this cycle as its own video. And so I'm just going to do a very quick, brief overview of it. But as you can see, assessments drive goals. And really what that means is the assessments provide the information of where the kid is at for a baseline in that moment in time. And that really helps to figure out what types of needs or areas of concern there are for that child, which then drive the goals. And so the goals are really where we're going to target those areas of need or concern or areas of deficit to help them make progress on those. And then the goals that you develop drive the amount of service that you're providing. Now, this can be like in California, specialized academic instruction, and you're getting pulled out in order to access different curriculum or things in a different way in order to make progress on those goals. But it can also be in relation to counseling services, behavior services, speech and language services, occupational therapy services. So all of those things that the assessment has shown that there is an area of need is really where it's going to drive those goals and it's going to drive the services. And then from there, the services drive the placement. And that's really where there's a lot of contention, and we'll talk about it in another video. But really, placement can be an area where there is a lot of disagreement. And so I just want to remind you that all of these things kind of play a role and go in this cyclical fashion. And that's why the IDEA requires that you every 3 years have another evaluation to determine has baseline areas of need changed for the child. So as you can see, amongst these two documents, there are some significant differences. And I think the biggest thing that parents always ask me is, do I request for a 504 or do I request for an IEP? And I think that that is very child specific. But what I would recommend is if you're feeling like your kiddo is doing well in the general education setting, but just maybe needs a little extra support, I would go the 504 route, because really you want to try to keep them in the general education setting as much as possible. When you get into the special education setting or the IEP process, that's really about taking the kid out of the general education to address those services and to address those goals. And so I really want to caution you and on knowing the differences between the two, and knowing that just because he or she doesn't qualify for an IEP doesn't necessarily mean that a 504 is the correct route to go. It's not a consolation prize to not being eligible for an IEP. And that's what a lot of parents ask. Well, can I get a 504? Because we've identified that there is a disability, but really, if they are being successful and they aren't needing any additional support, then they don't really need a 504 plan. So I really hope that this kind of broke it down for you a little bit and helped you understand the differences. If you have any additional questions and you live in the state of California, you are more than welcome to reach out to me and ask more questions. We can go into more detail about the two different documents. Or if you're within another state or country, like I said, reach out to somebody who is an expert in the field of special education or 504 plans, and that can really give you a more distinct differences between the two. I really am happy that you guys are here and look forward to more of these videos of things parents ask me. All right, have a beautiful day.